This is the time of year when harvest is celebrated and we start preparing for winter. Since man first started growing crops, there's been a recognition of the need for the right balance of rain, sun and fertile soil to provide a good yield, and harvest time has been a time to praise and thank God the Creator. The first fruits of the harvest were set aside as a thanksgiving and celebration. In the Bible, there are detailed instructions for how this should be a time of celebration, thanksgiving, and sharing of what God has provided. Prayers for seasonal blessings and thanksgiving for harvest would have been part of the way of life in agrarian societies, although harvest festival services are less than 200 years old in England. Nowadays, harvest means different things to different people. For rural and coastal communities, the reality of harvest may be more apparent, especially for those engaged in bringing the harvest home. In urban areas, we eat what we see on the supermarket shelves, and it's easier to forget how food gets there. But harvest time is still a wonderful opportunity to reflect on the wonder that brings our food into being, to thank God for it, and to remember those for whom harvest time has been sparse or non-existent. For young and old to bring their gifts to say thank you and show generosity by giving to those in need.
So, how do you think we're going to celebrate harvest this year?
I don't know. It's going to be difficult in lockdown.
Can we have a Zoom harvest, do you think?
Harvest is about thanking God, right?
Yeah.
Well, how about we have a harvest cook-up and thank God for all the places the things come from?
Could it be a curry cook-up?
As long as it's a veggie curry.
So what do we need?
Well, first we need a recipe. Jackie, have you got a recipe?
Yes, I've got a recipe.
Here you go.
A potato curry recipe. Well, I know where to get the spuds from.
Okay, so what do we need? We need spuds, beans, tomatoes, water, salt, pepper. Oh, sounds a bit dull.
Hang on. You haven't read the whole thing yet. Look, there's cinnamon, ginger, chilli, cloves.
Oh, well, we're okay for spuds. Andrew dug some up for us.
Every society in the world has a major carbohydrate source. Potatoes were in South America, they're now fairly universal, and in many parts of the world they're used as the basis of main dishes.
Andrew told me it hasn't been a very good year for potatoes. The earth's been too dry.
It must be difficult being a farmer anywhere if the crops fail.
People starve.
Yes, it's really hard for us to understand what that means. It's been 150 years since Europe experienced real famine, when the potato crop failed, and 1 million died in Ireland alone.
Really? So we need to be really thankful for these potatoes then. Back to the recipe. What's next? Parboiled potatoes. Guess we're fortunate to have enough water and some to spare.
Yes, and another thing, it's clean water and it comes out of a tap.
My name is Damiana. I have lived in a remote rural community in Brazil since I was a child. I remember carrying water on my head for over an hour and a half each day, even when I was pregnant. Both my young daughters made this same journey too. After 5 long years of extreme droughts, we were struggling to access clean water. The government provided water through a car drop-off scheme, but it was irregular. People in some parts of the community were left without water for up to 30 days at a time. With the nearest water source miles away, We were forced to travel each day over a long and dangerous route to collect water. Even then, it was often unsafe to drink, and we were often unwell with diarrhea and other illnesses that can be deadly for children. My daughter Marissa, who is 13, also carried water on her head for 40 minutes, and she did this 2 or 3 times a day. She had to hurry to not miss school, and so would not have time for food. My other daughter, Flavia, who is 11, has kidney problems, so she carried less water than us, but I wonder now if her problems might have something to do with the difficult access to water. Then Tearfund's local partner held meetings with local leaders, pastors, health workers and members of the community to see how they could help us access clean water. And a well was drilled, a community well, so we all now have clean, safe water. My life has been transformed. Both girls have more time for school, and we thank God that no one is going hungry. This is one of the greatest gifts for the community, as it met our greatest need.
Now we fry the onions, ginger, cinnamon and garlic.
Oh, I hate chopping onions.
What oil are you using there? Not palm, I hope.
It's olive. Why? What's wrong with palm?
Well...
In 2018, Jackie and I had the pleasure of travelling to Borneo to see the rainforest there. We were advised to avoid the summer because this is when they burn the rainforest in Sumatra. Although Sumatra is between 150 and 200 miles from Borneo, the smoke makes breathing difficult and life unpleasant. Cinnamon is grown in Sumatra by small-scale farmers who use the trees as savings. They are harvested every 15 years or so, and one farmer, for instance, used it to pay for wedding celebrations. The trees are coppiced, the bark of the small twigs being used for the cinnamon sticks you may have bought, and the bark from larger trunks being ground for the cinnamon powder in the recipe, for example. The cost is not just that local farmers are being deprived of their livelihood, and we may find cinnamon hard to buy in the future, but it's also a disaster for local wildlife. When we travelled from one side of Borneo to the other, we found that the same process had happened there, and we drove for hours through oil palm plantations. The oil is used for so many products on our supermarket shelves that it would take a long time to list them. The oil may even have ended up being used to fry a curry.
Olive it is then. Okay, where have we got to? Potatoes parboiled, onions and some spices fried. But I thought this was meant to be a curry. What about a bit of heat?
Yes, we need to add in the chilli next.
Ah, now I can help there. I raided Sue's cupboard. Look, she had loads of spices.
I wonder where this chilli is from.
The supermarket, of course.
No, I mean which country?
Oh, well, it could be from anywhere, I guess.
Hi, I've been working for a while now out in India supporting exploited people. It's in a part of the country called Guntur, about halfway up on the right-hand side. It's in the state of Andhra Pradesh. I spoke recently with Naresh, one of the local farmers, together with his wife Vinaya. When their children were born, they'd had great dreams for Babil, their son, and daughter Malaika. They'd had hopes they could send them to school. With an education, they could escape the poverty that has always held their family down. Unfortunately, their low income meant they didn't have enough to feed them properly as they grew, much less to find the school fees. Instead, when they could have learnt their ABC, they had to send them out to work, starting at the age of 6. The children picked chilies all day long in the heat. Malaika collapsed from heat stroke one especially hot day. More than that, Naresh is worried about the children's health because the chilly dust from the factory where they take their loads gets into their lungs and they cough. It makes it hard for them to sleep, but still they have to get up early and go out into the fields, again and again and again. It's been good to see how the folk from Save the Children have been working with the family of late. For the first time I can actually see hope in Naresh's eyes. They have offered free education for the children, and so, perhaps, a better future. It all depends, of course, on Naresh and Anaya being able to earn enough to pay their rent and buy enough food to feed the 4 of them. With the West's insistence on cheap food, that's going to be hard.
And in go the tomatoes. Thank you, Andrew. We've avoided a few air miles using the tomatoes from your allotment.
Here we've a few tomatoes that are just ripening, traditional red ones, but also some traditional, less traditional yellow ones. And tomatoes not only add flavour to a curry, but they're a great source of vitamins and minerals.
Yes, unfortunately, we've added a lot more with these beans. Do you know where they came from?
The farm shop?
No, Kenya.
How many air miles is that, do you think?
I'm not sure, but I heard that lots of crops in East Africa have been devastated by locusts this year.
My name is Anna. I live in Uganda and have lived a long life. I do not see well. In fact, to be honest, I don't see at all now. But I have a lovely little granddaughter who leads me where I need to go with a long white stick. I have a little patch of land of which I am very proud, and most years I am able to grow enough maize and beans to live on. But this year was different. This year the locusts came, great clouds of them. I have seen locust swarms when I was younger and had my sight, but I don't think there has ever been so many. They say it is the changes in climate that has brought them, so much wet weather. They say many things, but all I know is that they came like a noisy wind, clacking and whirring, eating through my crops like a whirlwind. We tried to beat them off, but they kept coming until there was not a stalk of maize or pod of beans left. And then they were gone, leaving nothing. It's the same in our neighbouring countries, Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, everywhere. I thought this was it. I had nothing for the months ahead. For 3 days all we had was despair and water. Oh yes, and some milk from a kind neighbour. Then, miracle of miracles, my pastor said that there was food at our church sent from Christian friends called Barnabas. I felt as if I was dreaming. I called my granddaughter, who led me, and before long we were back at home with a huge pack of maize, beans, oil and salt. They even got someone to carry it for me. So now we will be able to manage for a while longer. But I am fearful that those locusts will return.
A very simple curry, and 4 stories that lie behind just a few of the ingredients, revealing something about our reliance on food from across the globe for the meals that we enjoy, and the difficulties faced by those who produce them for us.
So, what's the verdict? Better get everyone to come in and enjoy this.
Yeah, come on everyone, get your bowls.
Hello everyone. Have we all got a plate full of harvest curry?
Yeah.
Hold on, haven't we forgotten something, like the most important thing?
Ooh.
Andrew,
Yeah.
do you mind giving thanks over this meal for us?
No, I can do that.
Cheers.
Let's give thanks to God. Father, creator of the earth, from your creation we harvest our food. We eat the vegetables, the animals and the fungi you provide, but we often fail to care about the earth. We are careless about our use of water, about the distance we move food around the world, about feeding the land we cultivate, and how we dispose of waste, and the exploitation of people in producing food. We fail to act as stewards of your creation. Please forgive us our wrong actions, and also create in us a willingness to learn. As your people, we want to be good stewards of your earth. Please form in us a sensitivity to the world around us. We thank you for the food and water you provide for us, and as we eat this meal, help us to understand how our meals impact on your creation. Amen.
Amen.
Yummy, yummy.
Yeah. Thanks for the recipe, Jackie.
Great stuff.
Mm.
Bit hot.